Hey guys, Dr. COSN coming at you again today. Hey, today I finally want to get to you guys the update. I had a couple comments saying, hey, what's going on with the bug out vehicle, and I wanted to do a quick update on it, just kind of let you know where I'm at, what I've got going. Ran into some issues with the engine that I thought was good to go. Somebody had reefed down the rocker arms and completely destroyed the push rods. It was done. So kind of got demotivated a little bit and stepped back away because, as you know, that's the heart to the whole thing, and the sky's the limit as far as cost and everything on an engine. So happened to save up some money, and I'm going to get into what I've done and kind of go into the future of what I've got going. So, all right, so I went with what I had. So I had a 1985 Chevy 3/4 ton pickup. So in that pickup had the rear axle, which is a 14-bolt semi-float posi-track axle, which is not ideal because you want to get the full float, which has the bolt-in axles on the outside, but this will work good for the build because when and if I do, which I will, swap this out, everything will match right up to the 14-bolt full float. So I've also rebuilt the entire brake system has been rebuilt. I also modified the brake cables, so I have e-brake cables. So basically on this, when you swap over from from the half ton to a 3/4 ton, you basically get two left side brake cables, and this will match right up to the Blazer, and you can hook your e-brake cable system back in. I also went with some spacers on my axle stops. These are progressive from Off-Road Design, so that I don't bottom out my nitro shocks. I also went with a quad core design from Off-Road Design for the brake cables, and I did have to rebuild some of this brake system. As you know, the stuff gets older, you have to end up replacing some lines when you start taking stuff apart. So let's move to the lift. Alright guys, so when it came to the lift, I ended up going with a 4-inch rough country. Now, I didn't want to go to 6 inches. I know I have 37-inch tires on here, but I didn't want to get too top heavy, and I was going to cut the body in order to make it fit. So on the rear, actually, I went with drop shackles from Off-Road Design again. Great company. I'll also put them down in the description block. Have great prices and great quality stuff. So it also comes with fully lubable bolts. You have all your grease zerks and grease fittings. You knock out your original, and you can actually bolt this right up. Fits right in the holes. Didn't have to do very much mods at all. This is really good stuff. I did end up going in the front, and I'll go there here in a second. But the front leaf springs, I did end up changing out to the rough country leaf springs. So let's take a look. Like I said, I got 1985 Chevy 3/4 ton axle. Only thing that really makes this a 3/4 ton axle is the 8 lug hubs on this. So this is actually, like I said, a 10 bolt. It's not ideal, but what I'm gonna do is, even the Dana 44 on the axle step down is usually where they break. You can see this picture right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put Chromoly Axles in there to eliminate that step down and make it even tougher. One of the reasons why I went and stayed with the 10 bolt, I'm gonna stay with the 10 bolt unless I can afford a Data 60 if I can find one, is, it is readily available. It's easy to find. I have 2 on the ground right now. Easy to replace if I need to. So I'm probably gonna stick with it, see how it does with Chromoly Axles in it, and eventually get an air locker for the front. On this axle also got rebuilt. It has 410 gears matched up in the rear. I have a unboltable or unpinnable sway bar to get more oscillation. I went with again on the rough country leaf springs. I also went with a solid steel. This is actually, it's not hollow like 1985. They actually had a hollow steering bar. I went with a solid steel one, and then I have a backup one that's going to go in the top rack. Most likely, these take strikes, and you end up having to change that out there in the field. Other than that, I've got the nitro shocks on the front. I did shock towers, as you can see in these pictures. I actually built these shock towers myself. A little bit of a different design going underneath the actual leaf spring, leaf spring holder there. And we're going to see how that works. It's kind of a test bed. I haven't seen the design before, so I kind of created it, and we're going to see how it goes. I also went with the 4-core, again with the 4-core brake lines with, I actually added a spring so that they don't get caught on foliage or go into my tires. Again, I'm going to upgrade. Once I get the money to upgrade, I'll end up upgrading these axles and put an air locker hub in this. So let's move on up top, and I'll show you some more good stuff. I forgot to add that I've actually put heavy duty shackles also on the leaf springs. So these are an upgrade. Again, I'm going to mention off-road design quite a few times. That's where a lot of these parts come from. You know, either rough country, off-road design, or actually I fab them. So you guys are probably looking also at this. This is a high support. You knock out your original. This also comes from off-road design, so do the custom motor mounts. Now these custom motor mounts are a little more rigid, so they will add a little bit of vibration to the vehicle, but I'm not too worried about that. We'll get to the engine and show you that here in a minute. This is a bolt-on, got to drill about 3-4 holes, so there's a little fab involved when you get this in there, but this adds a lot of support and a lot of rigidity to the frame. So let's move to the steering. All right guys, as you probably well know, as when you step up in tires, especially on a half-ton frame, you really got to reinforce your steering gearbox. So what I did, and I kind of went a little bit overkill, but I ended up welding on the plate that goes to the steering gearbox, as you can see here, and I also added a really heavy duty brace, and again this is from off-road design, more of a rock crawling brace, but I want to make sure that my frame can hold up to the abuse that I want to put it under. So let's move on. All right guys, so basically that covers the suspension. I know I'm probably forgetting a few things, but you know, like I said, I'm going to upgrade the suspension eventually. This actually gives me a really good build, gives me the right sizes, so when I go to a full float rear end, or if I do go to a modded 44, or even Dana 60 would actually take some modification to get in there. But what I do plan on doing is moving to the Chromoly Axles in the front. So in a little bit of the future video here, I've actually got the shifters are all in, I've got the electrical that's pulled out. I'm going to move to a painless wiring harness that's actually a waterproof four-wheel drive wiring harness, and we're going to move forward with that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the engine, transmission, and transfer case. Now, I went with this engine because I wanted the power, but I also didn't want to spend too much money. But I did go with a full roller 383 stroker. Now this is a 381 horsepower, 429 torque at 3,800 RPM. So it's a monster, and it is going to eat a little bit of fuel, but it is still running on regular. I want to make sure that I'm running on regular fuel just in case if I need to. You know, if you're going around a BOV and you got to get some gas, I'm also going to take and have some high octane boost on board, maybe, you know, 10 bottles or whatnot. So, and also when I get into my refuel station, you guys are going to dig that video. I've actually got a mobile refuel station, and that'll make a great video and give you guys some ideas. So with the 383, it's a great price, turnkey. And for my transmission, I've got a 400 turbo, fully rebuilt. It's got heavy duty clutch kits in it. It's also got a stage 3 shift kit and a heavy duty torque converter. I did sacrifice on the transfer case. I did go with the 208, and I'm going to go with the yoke eliminator eventually. I could have went with the 205, could have went with the 203, and did the full-time eliminator kit. But I'm fighting with weight. I want to try to keep the weight down. You know, I still haven't put the top rack on, all the gadgets and gadgets. I also got the front, rear bumpers that I got to put on. I'm actually going to go with dual tires on the swing gate in the back. I'm going to put my field pods up top, and I think you guys are going to dig my ideas on that. Now I also went, and you can see here I've got tons and piles of parts. I've been ordering parts for a long time. I'm also going with 3 radio system. I've got a ham radio, I've got the GMRS and the FRS radio. I've also got the CB. So I've got 3 different radios in there. I got 102-inch whips on the 2 CBs and the FRS, I'm going to go with the ham antenna, which I'll try to center on the vehicle, get better reception. We'll get into that. That's going to be a whole nother video on comms and communications, but just kind of giving you a future of what's going to be going on. So I'll keep driving forward, try to keep you guys updated, and I really appreciate all your support, everything you guys do for me. So stay tuned, and there'll be a lot more videos on this guy. Thanks, I appreciate your time.